We're still waiting for the mayor, but we're about ready to begin. She's 5 minutes away.
She's on Scotland, so she's here.
She's on Scotland.
Not in Scotland.
I'm glad you were able to have a little longer tea break. We like to worship the living God as best we can. Okay. We're very, very privileged to have with us today Mayor Beth and Duyne from the City of Irving. Just mentioning to our City of Irving code enforcement that the mayor is coming has helped speed us along. And so without further ado, I would like to turn the mic over to Mayor Van Duyne.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today. It really is quite an honor. Today, it's amazing how many events they have going on. Last night I was concerned. It was raining and it was dark. And I looked at the weather reports and I just saw that, well, what's it going to be like? We've got so many things that are outside. We've got so many things that are planned. Woke up this morning, got the paper. I wasn't in it. It's a good thing. You know, and it has just been beautiful. And I apologize for being late. I was over at the Hope Fellowship Church, which is over on Irving Boulevard, and they had their 5th annual Hot Dogs for Heroes event. So it was honoring our police and our fire department. And what struck me is I had to leave that event. I wanted to leave that event to come here. But the amazing amount of diversity that represents. For those of you who might not know what Hope Fellowship Church is, it is a biker church. So they have their leather, vests on, they've got their hair pulled back in ponytails, they've got their biker caps on. And it is a biker church. And they are very patriotic, they're very godly, and they absolutely adore our fire and our policemen. But it amazed me, okay, I'm going across town. It wasn't really across town, it's a good 4 miles away. But from that event to this event, we have 230 to 235,000 people that live in the city of Irving. We represent probably the 92nd largest city in the country. We have the most diverse zip code in the country. We have so many different languages that are spoken in our schools and in our workplaces. And during the day, we actually have more people that work here than live here. So think about the action that this city sees on a typical Monday. We've got private schools, we've got public schools, we've got charter schools, we have religious schools. We have got 5 to 6 Fortune 500 companies, depending on what time of the year and what's going on in the industry. We used to have 6, but with oil and oil prices being what they are, they keep dropping off. We've got 5 international companies. We've got over 600 offices of 500, Fortune 100, but headquarters here. Think about the people that come in here. We've got the 3rd largest international airport. Having a group like Irving, having a group like this represents, is that we have an amazing population. What makes it amazing? How many of you were born in the city of Irving? Anybody? Anybody that was born here? How many of you lived in the city of Irving? How many of you work here? And how many of you pray here? How many of you pray here? You should all be raising your hand. Even if you're driving through on 183, you're praying, aren't you? And I often wonder, looking around, what makes people want to come to North Texas? I myself, I'm from upstate New York. My father was in the Air Force. We even lived in North Dakota for a time. I used to work my office was out of Germany. And it's an international group, but I often wonder what makes people want to come here. And I think it's it goes without saying, it's the people. It's the fact that we are a very, very inviting people, and I guess I can say that being in New York. They're great, very diverse, but not nearly as welcoming as they are down in Texas. And then I think about offerings like your church and what you bring to our community, the volunteer work that you bring. And I know that you've done a ton of work with Urban Cares, and I want to thank you for that. Because even though we have a very large population, we've got a great business community, we still have people who need help. We have people on a daily basis. In fact, the event that I just came to, there was a gentleman who walked up to me and he said, I know that we're here to honor our police, but you have issues in the city that you might not know of. He said, I am homeless and I live here. And I know there's some people who deny that we actually have a homeless problem in Irving, but I want you to know we are around. And we rely on a lot of people's help. And he wanted to thank me for help, and he wanted to ask me for more. And where do I go when I need more help? I go to groups like yours. And I say, how can we all support members of our community that don't have as much as some of us do? And I think all of you in this room, one time or another, have helped, and probably a lot of you do that almost every single day. And I look down at the young smiling faces here, and you're nodding your head, and I love that. I've got how old are you? You're 12? You look so much older. I've got a 13-year-old son, and I've got a 16-year-old daughter who actually wanted to be here today. They have a fine arts festival. But I look at the kids that we bring in this group. And I think, judging from the different places that we've all come to, I mean, just looking around this room, we have such a diverse population. But what makes it so great is the richness of our languages, the richness of experiences that we bring when we come here, and how we respect one another once we get here. I love what you guys have done with the place. And hey, feel free to drop my name anytime if it helps you with our coach enforcement. But this is a great city, and I'm so pleased that you feel the pull to come here. That you feel the pull to actually honor us with your richness, with your spirits, and with your openness and joy. I read a little bit about the church and how it was founded and your need to have more space. And I'm looking around at the space you have right now. You didn't build it big enough. I saw there was 3,000 square feet, and I thought, goodness, there's going to be about 20 people there. And boy, was I wrong. You're actually full. But I've been mayor now for 4 years. I was on the city council for 6 years before that, so just about 11 years now in public service. We have a hard job as representatives. We have to represent everybody in this city. And not just the people that live here, the people that worship here, the people that work here, the people that visit here. And trust me, being between Dallas and the airport and being between Fort Worth and the airport, we have a ton of people that visit. It's a great thing because it makes our economy really strong. But we also have a lot of people that kind of come in, they stay for a few years and then move. I think what makes a community great is the people that come and that they put their roots down. And they say, this is home. We're going to come here, we're going to have our family come here, we're going to give back to our community, and we're really going to get involved. In this community, I see more than most others, almost more than any other, really getting involved and helping us. So it is a privilege, it is an honor for me to be here today. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. I apologize profusely for being late, but I will be here as long as you need me to today, because I don't have any place to go except to go pick up the kids at 1 o'clock. So, thank you and congratulations on a fantastic opening and such a great showing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Van Duyne. The mayor was referring to our Urban Cares Feed the Needy program that we do. It's a food drive that we have ongoing from January until Mother's Day. Our next speaker from this particular aspect of the program, which is called Perspectives, is with our president, Ranjana Chopra, president of the Vedanta Society here.
It was really nice to get a perspective on Irving, and we are very happy we live here. We love it. So today really is a culmination of a journey that started in 2006. The late revered Swami Swahanandaji, our spiritual leader and founder, asked us to buy a house. So we bought the house next door. And he encouraged us, he supported us, and he totally inspired us. So in a short period of time, we bought the house next door. So, and we converted it into a monastery, and Pravrajika Brahma Pranaji was the resident minister. Last year was the 7th anniversary of the center, and it was a period of marked growth. So we have this tradition of inviting guest swamis. So last year we had 9 swami visits who gave us in-depth spiritual retreats. We also had a yoga, psychology, wellness workshop that was very well attended, and it was held in the Central East building because we didn't have space then. 10 special pujas were performed, as well as the Sunday lectures and the Raja Yoga study circles continued throughout the year. Interfaith dialogue, academic outreach, going out to the students in SMU, UNT, and also to TCU continued. And what Mayor Beth referred to, we had the 6th annual Vivekananda food drive for the Irving Cares Pantry. And people are really inspired to give. The other thing we also did was with the Lily Foundation, we participate in feeding the homeless, and we go to a church in Fort Worth to do that on an annual basis. And sometimes we have if there's a special need, the people come together and we provide a service. For example, in India, when they had that Uttarakhand relief fund because they had such a disaster, the team got together, we collected the funds and sent it to the Ramakrishna Mission in India for the relief purposes. Now last year, Swami Sarvadevanandaji, who's a spiritual leader and minister in charge of Southern California, and Swami Ishtanandaji, who's a spiritual advisor and minister in charge of St. Petersburg, they told us that, perhaps we should look at getting a center that was approved by the city of Irving. So what did we do? We bought the house next door, this house, and we demolished it. And what was our plan at that time? We said, our vision was we would have a Vedanta Center complex and we'd have a Vivekananda Hall. So this is the Vivekananda Hall that you're sitting in. And the reason was so that we would have sufficient space, and yes, we might outgrow it, but sufficient space to have our spiritual talks, to have our spiritual retreats, to have other workshops, to have cultural programs. I mean, there's all kinds of wonderful stuff that we can do now that we have this Vivekananda Hall. And of course, adequate parking. I think most of you may understand when I say happiness is having your own parking lot. So, in September, we started the design and construct process, and today we have this inauguration ceremony of this Vivekananda Hall and the Vedanta Center complex. Now I have to confess, the second objective was much easier. We just knocked the fence down between the two properties with the city's approval, and now we have a complex and we have a garden. So that was easily done. I hope you all were impressed with the complex. When we started, we had insufficient funds, like most projects start like that. And many of the Swamis would tell us that when you do the Lord's work, the money will come. Now, we have our own stories. We can say, yes, the money will come. So I have to tell you that an anonymous donor gave us a very substantial grant, very matched dollar for dollar. And that was like tremendous for us because people got inspired with that. And they gave very generously. We had unexpected donations and the money truly just came in. Now I want to share a small story about Mother's Grace. So on our wish list, we had a painting of Holy Mother that had to be framed, and we put next to it $300. Now 8 people were inspired and offered to frame that painting. Luckily, they all agreed to join together and frame it, so that one item, instead of raising $300, raised $2,400, which was a real blessing for everyone. And that was truly Mother's grace, truly Mother's grace. Now, as the mayor is here, I must say that the City of Irving staff was exceptional in providing service to us as we tried to build in a residential neighborhood. The planning and zoning department, the inspections department, the traffic police, everybody contributed to the success of this building. Truly. Now I sincerely thank everyone, the Swamis for their blessing and support, Brahma Pranaji for her relentless pursuit of spreading Vivekananda's message by having these interfaith and academic initiatives. I don't think there's anybody better than her. It is a testament to her that we have this light of knowledge where we have all the different representatives performing in that. Now, we also have to thank the trustees, the advisors, the devotees, our friends, our relatives from California who sent money over here. And there were many, many acts of kindness by many people during this process. It is with the Divine Mother's grace that we have achieved this objective, clearly. However, Rekha Rao, who was supported throughout the process by our first president, Prakash Rao, has done an absolutely outstanding job. She gets the credit for this building. For the last 7 months, Rekha has dedicated all her time and energy to this building. She spent hours and hours on site with great attention to detail. So I can really attest that it is her passion, her diligence, her commitment, her research that went into not only this building but furnishing the building and then creating the beautiful Texas plant native garden which you can see outside and on the back, which is drought resistant. So we can follow the City of Irving the water restrictions. Now Prakash supported Rekha, but he and his friend Sanjay Datte also did a lot of research and spent a lot of time creating the sound system. So if you're getting such good sound all over, you have to thank Prakash for it. Blessing letters from Belur Math have been received and they are framed and at the entrance. So I will just conclude by reading you a few lines from a blessing letter from the General Secretary Swami Sritanandaji Maharaj. So this is what he writes. This is just the last few lines in this letter. He says, I pray to Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother Sri Sharda Devi and Swami Vivekananda to shower their blessings on the Vedanta Society of North Texas. May this society, now well equipped with necessary facilities, bring spiritual solace to the earnest seekers of truth. Thank you. So inspired by your clapping, I forgot to announce Rekha. So Rekha is now going to give us all the highlights of the building project. Respected Swami Chetananandji, Saradevanandji and Ishtanandji. The Vivekananda Hall is a direct testimony to Swami Swahanandji's vision and dream of a Dallas center. It was about 10 years ago that he started speaking to the many groups that were scattered all over the Metroplex to unite together under one umbrella and have the Vedanta activities. The monastery next door was bought in October 2006. Swami Sridharananji was in town and he blessed it. As the activities grew, in 2013 the society started thinking about a formal lecture hall to house all the talks and the activities that were going on. And search began in Irving. Irving being the central part of the Dallas Metroplex is very convenient to people coming from Fort Worth or Plano or Allen, and it is the central position.
we began an earnest search, but I think nobody really wanted to leave this place because from day one, somehow that monastery had a special something to it. And I'll just mention that there's a less known anecdote that is recorded in the Portland Vedanta Society that possibly in the 1890s, Swami Vivekananda's train that carried Swami Vivekananda from Chicago to Los Angeles went via Texas and possibly through Dallas-Fort Worth, and we would like to imagine possibly through this property. So we were attached to this property and we stayed on, and as Ranjana mentioned, we bought this, the adjacent the property, and it's only half an acre. So all we could do with all the parking prerequisites, there wasn't not much room to maneuver the building positioning. Wahid Sadar was our design and architect. He did a superior job. We stressed on simplicity and functionality first, and the emphasis was on natural light and air. And we wanted to have an open veranda that connected the two properties so the garden could be enjoyed by both. For the front landscaping, we went with Texas native plants, which are supposed to be heat and drought tolerant. But ever since we planted them, they've been drowning in rain. But they're okay. And this past week, umpteen prayers have been said, and forecasts watched and rewatched and visited and interpreted endless ways of the chance of rain being 20% or 50% or 80%, that I think the rain gods got tired and dumped all the rain last night and destroyed the mulberry tree, which is very dear to us, but I guess that's life. So here we are, the Vivekananda Hall is here, and Swami Swananji's vision and dream is coming together, and we hope that many will come and enjoy the inspiring talks and workshops that are promising to be happening in the future. Thank you.
Well, you heard the story from Rekha, and you heard all my accolades about Rekha. So in front of you, we wanted to present her. Swami Chaitnyanandaji's book,